Hello. 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 Hello.
Every Rush song.
The trouble with the podcasts, and they're quite convinced they're right, they say the Netflix series are too lofty and they grab up all the ratings, but this podcast, we're discussing every Rush song. That one
I
wasn't
want
as
somebody
good
to
as some of
kill
the
me
others.
now.
Wow, yeah. This one was tough, but what song are we talking about tonight?
Oh,
We
yeah.
are talking about this song.
This one.
There is unrest in the forest. There's trouble with the trees. For the maples want more sunlight. And the oaks ignore their pleas.
And the space guitar is on indoor.
I haven't something I have to admit. The trees is kind of one that I skip. I kind of skip to get to La Via Strangiato. I have heard it
Goodness.
a lot of times. I have heard the trees so many times.
Okay,
sorry.
do you skip Tom Sawyer? Do you skip Tom Sawyer?
Yes. Sorry, I do.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know it's the first song on the perfect album, Tom Sawyer. But yes, sometimes I skip it to get.
I would never skip the trees. I think Richard Cheese kind of re-sparked my love of that song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was so good.
Yeah. But
the trees is a song that a long time ago, when radio stations weren't programmed by robots, you would hear the trees being played, at least in Dallas Fort Worth radio.
It still gets
you
played
don't
on.
hear the trees anymore.
It does.
I have
92 and a half.
heard the trees. 92 and a half. I think they call it 92.5, sir.
Whatever.
I haven't heard the trees on the radio since 1990, maybe.
Really?
Some such. Yeah, I haven't heard trees on the radio in forever. And that's a shame, because typically back in the day with the Q102 Triple Shot Thursday.
I'm the Shayne. Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Trees would make that Triple Shot Thursday.
Oh, I remember that Q102s. Q102 Triple Shot Thursdays. Oh my God, those were great. You know, it was Texas best rock.
92 and a half.
It was.
We've been listening to them on iHeartRadio, and they play a lot of triple shots. They don't call it triple shots.
Yeah, they brought that back a little bit more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the triple shots you typically hear are the same 3 Boston songs or the same 3 ZZ Top songs.
Not a lot of circumstances.
No.
The same 3 Journey songs, the same.
Right? Yes, it's always.
It's true.
They play a little bit. The Police.
If I had a radio station, you would not hear the hits from it.
You would hear
cuts.
You know, there is actually a channel on Sirius XM.
Really?
Called it's deep cuts. There's got several channels that are deep cuts, and it's great because you don't hear the hits, you hear the deep cuts.
If the local radio stations would get away from what they think everybody wants to hear, and maybe go back and play. Now, maybe the song wasn't a hit. But at the time when that song came out, it used to get a lot of radio airplay. For example, Cheap Trick. I don't remember the name of the album, but they had a song called Tonight It's You.
Oh.
And that song rocks. I love that song. I don't know what it feels like loving you. I love the bass in it. It's a great song, but No, and they used to play that song
Now,
on the radio.
now all you're going to
back
hear
in
is
the day. But now,
all you're going to hear now is "I Want You to Want Me"
and Dream Police.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it.
The trees.
So,
am I right?
the trees.
Yes.
There's
some trouble out there.
I did.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did some extensive research because we've discussed the trees before
A little bit
in a previous episode. Yeah, but
I think
did
it's funny that Jay does extensive research. You just don't put that together.
Yeah,
Jay.
put your readers on so you can read what you're
I gotta put my readers on so I can see it because I can't see without my readers.
You took notes.
So
I like notes. I wish somebody
all
would
right,
send
so
it to me. So I can
here we go. Now,
post it.
this is in Neil Peart's own words.
Ooh.
The song is about a forest full of maple and oak trees. The maples begin to get uptight because the oaks are growing too big and tall and are taking up all the sunlight. They form a union and to get the oaks chopped down to a reasonable size. And then Peart was asked about the song being a statement against trade, unionism, and organized labor, to which he responded, "Really? I can assure you that wasn't the intention. Initially, the song came about as a cartoon. I sat down after a gig somewhere, and it came to me all of a sudden. This very vivid visual cartoon. It was the fastest song I ever wrote. I wrote it in about 5 minutes. I suppose it's basically about the crazy way people act. This false ideal of equality that they create. And I simply believe that certain people are better at doing certain things than other people. Some people are naturally talented, they have a gift or whatever, and some people aren't. This doesn't mean that these people are greater human people by virtue of that talent. It just merely means they're more talented. Or in Tim's brain, the trees reads as an Ayn Randian, aka Alice O'Connor. Who knew she was a woman? I didn't. Message of the evils of collectivism and socialism, a metaphoric tale about how people are of lesser ability and power band together to take down those who have it. But in the end, all the trees were chopped down. So really, they became equal in death because death is the great equalizer. Thank you.
Now, wait. Jay, who was that from?
What, Ayn Rand? Oh, the line.
Yeah, the death is the great equalizer. Was that from Neil?
No, I read that. I read that somewhere. The part about Ayn Rand, and then somewhere else I read somewhere, and it's talking about somebody asked the question. It was on a it was one of those
Reddit,
not email groups. What do you call it? When people
Reddit?
ask questions and
group.
Anyway, if somebody had asked the questions, well, all the chopped down.
Oh, but that's not true. That's not what the song says. The song says that the trees are all kept equal. So yes, the maples got their way. But see, here's the deal. The maples really aren't in charge, and neither were the oaks.
But they're quite convinced they're right.
They're classes of people. It was the lumberjacks who were in charge.
Tim, I'm a lumberjack.
They're the ones,
and that's okay.
Work all night and I sleep all night and I work all day.
Sorry.
I wear high heels.
My bad.
Suspenders and a bra. I wish I'd been a girly.
Just like my dear
papa.
He wished he'd been a girly, just like his dear papa.
No, so the lumberjacks are the ones in power. And so, number one, to keep from a uprising, They're the ones in power. They're the ones with the money. They're the ones with the power to make the decision.
The lumberjacks?
They decided to keep those people equal. No one allowed to grow the way that they want or should, because
Now,
oaks are naturally going to be taller than maples. It's a fact. Now,
true.
so I
Agreed.
do. Maybe Neil did not, or consciously think he was writing about socialism, but being brought up in a semi-socialist Canada, that was his upbringing. So therefore, and think about the world today, you know, if we were all just, equal, and we all just the same amount of money, regardless of what you do, it's all the same. Nobody is going to be able to, no matter how good they are performing, they're not going to be allowed to gain more wealth. We're going to keep it like this. The people who are reaping the benefits of that are the people in power. Your socialist government. They're the ones with the money, with the power, while the people are all being kept the same, regardless.
The people who hold high places must be the ones to start.
Now, is it just socialist government, or is it large corporations, media empires, political action committees, that sort of things? That I don't know if it's necessarily just governments that hold the power. I think governments are more like puppets. Politicians are more like puppets, I think, if not carnies.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say carnies.
That's why I see politicians as carnies. That's just me.
Yeah.
Well, I think all businesses and corporations run their business from a political viewpoint.
I think they use politics to get what they want, because that's a way to,
of course,
control
they
laws that control the
politics.
people.
But I mean, you've got some companies that are, you do a great job, you're going to be rewarded for it. We want you to grow with this company. And then you got some companies that treat their people, regardless of what they do, you're not going to grow anymore. We're going to keep you right here.
Yep.
So therefore, it is they're running it in a political, from a political view.
I can't remember who it was it said, if you're not working your own plan, you're part of someone else's plan.
But see, you're always a part of somebody else's plan.
That's true.
Regardless, if you to grow and prosper working for that person, it's that person's political or that person's plan to allow you to do that.
So you see the lumberjacks as a government?
Sure.
A corporation and a literati? Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones making the rules.
So the trees,
it wasn't the trees that it wasn't the maples that grabbed the hatchet, axe, and started cutting on the oaks.
Well, yeah, but they formed a union demanding equal rights, and they passed a noble law because there's no more oppression. So the man, the lumberjacks said, you know what? Shut the hell up. We're gonna make you all equal.
Right. We'll shut you up. We'll shut your union up.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do that.
So Jay, is Neil making a statement, or do you have an interpretation yourself of who you think the lumberjacks are? Those wielding the hatchet, axe, and saw.
Honestly, I never even thought about the lumberjacks until now. To me, it was all about the
well, because lumberjacks are never mentioned.
Yeah,
but
that's the deception.
Right. Who was going to do that?
Somebody.
I've never seen a tree operate a chainsaw.
But
somebody's swinging that axe. Somebody's sawing that saw.
Right. The thing is, you got all this stuff about the trees. The trees are bitching and moaning. That's you and me. That's the everyday Joe. And then the lumberjack says, "Hey, you know what? You said this is what we want. Screw you guys. Everybody's going to be you this way. That way, nobody can bitch anymore."
And the oaks, they weren't bitching, but they were a little upset with the maples.
Well, the oaks, yeah, it was the oaks
because you know what they're doing? They're the corporate, I guess the corporate heads. They're taking the brunt of the hot sun.
Yeah.
And so it's like your big time corporate
protecting the maples
from
the sun. Is that what you're saying?
You guys on the assembly line don't have any clue what we have to go through with all the red tape, blah, 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 the pressures on making sure we produce. Exactly. So you should just be happy with everything that we're providing you. You're not going through the hot sun. We're shading you from that.
Let the fools have their tartar sauce.
Or maybe the maples are taking advantage of, maybe they're the corporate America taking advantage of the oaks, because the oaks are putting up with all the crap, taking the sun, and they're safe, but they still want more. So they're like, "Okay, thanks for that, but you're too tall, so we're going to knock you down a bit. We're going to fire you. We're going to fire, so we're going to get somebody else in here, or we're going to demote you, and or whatever. You're doing a great job, but you can be easily replaced." Damn, I wish I knew where I was going with this. I need a drink.
And when the song gets into the quiet part, okay, you get the little synthesizer thing going. The Neil doing the temple box.
Yeah.
That is the conversation going on between the maples and the oaks.
Yeah.
The first part of it, when Neil is going from low to high, that's the maples. When Neil is going from high to low block, that's the oaks.
Oh, wow. I noticed that before.
Wow. Well, I just made that up, so that's why I've never noticed that before.
But maybe.
But once again, it sounds right.
It does sound right. So it must be. So folks, don't look it up. It's fact.
Look it up.
It is not opinion.
And then on the guitar jam, the cowbells, that's the lumberjacks.
Yeah.
And they are about to get pissed.
Lumberjacks. Yeah.
So what do you think of the lumberjacks as death, the Grim Reaper? And here you have the maples and the oaks, and they both have their petty little arguments, but in the end, none of it matters because death takes us all.
But
that's a very valid
a little stoicism, a little memento mori.
But it's not. The trees aren't killed.
But you can read into this what you want. That's what's great about this.
I just read into it.
So
and what it's saying, my opinion,
they're trimmed, they're pruned. See, I saw more of a what do they call that when they just cut down the entire forest? That's kind of what I envisioned. It's like, oh, you go ahead and argue. We're going to destroy you all while you enjoy your petty little arguments.
And when they did the trees live, especially in later years with the use of video, with hatchet, axe, and saw, the picture you saw on the video screen was a bunch of logs in a lumber yard,
like the clear cutting,
laying flat on the ground.
Right?
Yeah. But that's not what really happens. The song doesn't say that. It just says that they're kept equal by hatchet and saw.
Well, because that's kind of that's a Stoic principle thing, though. That's something Marcus Aurelius wrote a lot about. With we we have all these wants, these battles, these opinions, but in the end, none of it matters because in the end, we're all dust. We're all worm food. We're all, is it meat biscuits?
Here
Not
comes the
meat
lumberjacks.
biscuits, meat suits. We're all meat. We're just meat suits. Genetic blends with uncertain ends. That's that's the way I saw it. Like the lumberjacks are death. And in the end, all your petty arguments don't matter because you all end up worm food.
Isn't it funny that in this
and then it's a greater death.
Isn't it funny that in this little 4-minute and 43-second song that, I mean, it's lyrically, it's not, there's not a lot, but it provokes so much thought.
Well,
and you can read into it, and that's what I love about any song. But like Rush this song is a great example about how you can just read into it what you will. This is how I interpret it. I don't think any interpretation is wrong. The author of the song, he wrote it. He knows what he knows what he thinks it's about.
I think he's being a little cheeky with that too.
That's what it's about to him.
Meaning
yeah.
I think he's just kind of going, I think he had a meaning in mind and then it's been reinterpreted so many times that his approach when asked about it was this, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to see what y'all think about it because I could say what I meant, but it's just y'all are just going to fight about it. You're going to say that I'm wrong. You're going to argue about that. I'm just going to let you argue over about it. I'm just going to say it was a cartoon.
Right. Exactly. Or he said is probably the truth. He probably was Looney Tunes. Said, you know what?
It's but you also have to think, I mean, Neil Peart was a very intelligent man. So there you can't tell me that this was just all about a cartoon and just, I mean, he may say that it wasn't any, don't read into it that much, but there's more to it than maybe
so.
Like you said, on the subconscious level, that's more to it, but the conscious level, he may not, he may honestly feel about the way this is what it was, but subconsciously he's putting more into it. There's more thought behind that.
I think so, because he has.
But I'm amazed that he wrote it in 5 minutes, according to
he
him.
has too many things that are about those binary or dualistic battles, right? Like you go back to Cygnus X1 Book 2, you've got the heart and mind thing, or we didn't get to go into it. Tim mentioned it. I wanted to go into it farther, but it ran a little long. The chaos versus order thing. You look at Alien Shore, and you've got male versus female and different races battling it out. And you go into half the world this, half the world that. Tim could probably say the lyrics better than I can. Natural science versus nature. He has all these examples of these dualities that are fighting each other. There is no way that this was just about a cartoon. He definitely had some deeper meaning.
I was just thinking. Neil probably, Neil handed the lyrics to Getty, and Getty's reading over and go, okay, all right. So, wait a second. Are you serious? Half the world this, half the world that.
Half the world is.
You're Neil Peart, for crying out loud.
Half the world wants
half
to
the
be
world
the
this, half the world that.
All right, and here's another thing, Tim. You do landscaping, right?
Yes.
You know a little bit about trees, grass, plants, how they, at least here in North Texas, right? Okay. So my thing is the maples and the oaks, they needed a Cygnus. And I don't think the lumberjacks were the sickness they needed, right? They needed something to bring them together, not something to just wipe them all out. Because here's the thing. You've seen maples, right, Tim? How do maples survive, at least here in North Texas? And more specifically,
Depends on what. Well, it depends
good
on what kind
question.
of maple it is.
So let's say a
because
Japanese maple.
Japanese,
Yes. How do they
Japanese,
survive?
your Japanese maples have got to be in the shade.
Yes, they need an oak, right?
They've
Otherwise, the
gotta
sun
have an
kills
oak,
them
right?
here in
Right.
Texas.
And here's the other thing. Talking about oaks, the red oak tree. The red oak tree needs shade on its side of the trunk that faces the west. Because if it's out in the open and that end of the day hot Texas sun starting around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
No,
if
that's
that
right.
side of the trunk is getting that full sunlight, it starts to damage that tree. That's why you'll see the red oak that they'll have them strategically placed around, maybe in the center of a bunch of different other trees that will shade it out, or it will be, there will be up against a wall, but that wall will be blocking that end of the day sun. It can take the morning sun, no problem. And most of your red oaks aren't ever really uplimbed. They don't, typically you don't raise the canopy up, especially if you're in an area where that sun's going to be coming in. So yes. Now, speaking of trees,
Yes.
health, when you're in a forest, typically there isn't a bunch of healthy pruning going on.
No. Yes.
But
One.
and if you're in a forest, hopefully that state is taking care of that. But then you got states like California.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Yeah, here it comes. That they could reduce a lot of the major wildfires if they would just send in tree services to go do some healthy pruning, removing dead wood and fallen dead wood. But they don't do that in California.
Yeah.
Sorry, Californians.
So in a few weeks, the three of us are going to spend some time out at my dad's place, where you're going to kind of have a reverse situation of what the trees is about. What you're going to see is a lot of oaks that are, in the song, the oaks are choking out the maples because the maples are hogging the sunlight, right? What you are going to see when we get to my dad's place is where the cedar trees are choking out the oaks because they're taking up all of the resources from the ground, like all the water and nutrients from the ground, because the birds will eat the berries from the cedar. And then when they poop, those seeds grow, and you have all these little oaks that surround, all these little cedars that surround the bigger cedars and surround the oaks, and they cannibalize, I guess, all the resources from the oaks. So then the cedars are choking out the oaks. And I don't think Neil got that deep, but I think it's kind of along the same lines of a competition for limited resources, right? And which is probably where Tim gets his, talking about it being socialism, where Jay talks about it being more corporatism, and which ultimately thinks that where I'm right, because the lumberjacks are death and death conquers all. Sorry,
Wow.
Death does conquer all of them.
Depressed? You will be on the next exciting episode of So. Dun 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 dun
Oh
dun.
my God, I remember that show.
Dun dun.
Well, and it
dun 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 dun.
And it's not necessarily meant to be depressing because we're all going to die. It's more like, all right, you know what?
Oh, thanks.
You know what? There's bigger things to worry about, or maybe just not fight over it, share, or just realize that we're all in this together. We all need sunlight. We all need the resources from the sky. We all need nutrients from the ground, and put away the petty differences and work together. That's why
Now I will say one thing. If it's a silver leaf maple, those things are pieces of crap. They should all be torn down and burnt in my fire pit.
Really? Because they smell good? Do they burn well? Or why do you say that?
They're just a crap tree.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
like a sumac? A crab tree.
Yeah.
Yes, really crab
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah.
Did you say crab
Yeah.
tree?
Crab tree.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just
In your defense, Tim,
some
he does say
proper
the maples formed a union. He does say that.
I don't know why that's in my defense.
Well, because I mean,
I'm completely against unions.
No, I mean, but I'm talking about the meaning of the song. The Maples formed a union, like a collectivism type thing, demanded equal rights. So that is one of the.
I'm just a little curious. Little bitty maples, form your union. What are you going to do? We're a bunch of big. We will kick your ass.
My.
Also, death. The hatchet.
Right.
The saw.
Right.
The lumberjacks.
The oaks will just laugh at them and say, okay, we're going to give you some cotton root rot right now and see what you guys do. Yeah.
Favorite lines? Jay? Favorite lyrics?
I
tried to catch you right when you were about to take a drink. Did I do it?
Do I have a favorite lyric? For this song or just in general?
Like it's scenes from an Italian restaurant. No, from the trees.
I've got one.
It's a great song. It's a story song.
Mine is because I just think it's funny when I try to picture this. There's unrest in the forest and the creatures all have fled.
The creatures all have fled.
I just imagine the trees just, they're starting to argue and bicker at each other, and it's just getting all crazy.
As the maples scream,
impression,
right? Oaks just shake their heads.
And the birds and Bambi and the rabbits and squirrels are all just getting out of town.
Yeah. Why are they fleeing? Because they're like, oh my gosh, here they go again. These idiots are going to argue again about their crap.
Look, I didn't sleep at all last night, and they're starting this rap again. Let's go.
let's just go. Let's go hang out at Two Charlie's and have some beer and grilled cheese sandwiches. Okay.
Right.
There we go. Oh yeah. Now we're talking.
I like and they're quite convinced they're right in parentheses. Because again, I hate to say it because I've been trying to argue against it, but I also think that kind of proves Tim's point about the meaning of the song. Trouble with the maples, and they're quite convinced they're right. Because doesn't that just happen with every stupid political argument you see? Both sides, they have this opinion, and they're quite convinced they're right. They think they have data. They think they have information. They think they have logic, but ultimately it's just how they feel about it. It's whatever's happened to them through their lives, their experiences that led up to how they feel about things. And they'll talk about
there's nothing you can say
facts.
or do to change their mind.
There's nothing you can say.
It's just like the scientists out there telling us that there's black holes. They're all quite convinced that they're right.
Yeah, and Tim's quite convinced he's right. Tim's quite convinced he's right.
That's true.
Yeah, Pluto used to be a planet. Well, it's not big enough.
Man,
it's a planet.
You're coming. That's a sore subject for me because I feel so bad for Pluto.
Pluto got the shaft.
Screwed.
Pluto got screwed. That is,
if anybody got a black hole, it's the Pluto. He got black hole.
Yeah, he did get. Big time.
Son,
Yeah.
won't you come?
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, the trees.
And I feel like we've discussed it out. I think this is so we all have our own opinion about this
Especially Tim.
song. Especially Tim has our own opinion.
And me.
I think I really think this song is definitely open to everybody's own personal interpretation. But the gist of it I get is basically two sides, one side basically bitching and the other side like, hey, come on, what's going on? They pass a law, and then the man, the man comes in and says, you know what, screw you both. This is how it's going to be.
Damn you, the man.
Whether that be socialism, whether that be
Cannibalism,
death is the ultimate equalizer. Either way, I absolutely love this song. I can't believe that Shayne skips it.
I skip it. Sorry.
I
don't even know what to say about that.
I love Lamp.
You know what, Tim? I love Lamp too.
Well, do you, Jay? Do you really love Lamp? Or are you just naming things that you see?
I love Lamp. I love Lamp.
Okay.
How do you feel about Salt Lamp? Well, we want to know what you think about the trees or Lamp. We just started. We started the conversation. We want to know what you think. Tell us in the comments on this video, on this podcast. Email us 2112 at everyrushsong.com. Comment anywhere, social media, messages at everyrushsong. Tim, if I'm just saying, if we decided to end this thing about now, how might we go about such an ending?
Grapevine, Colleyville Independent School District. Thank you. Good night.